Today we are talking about Wrath of the Lich King Classic Phase 4 and how you can prepare yourself for that phase right now, specifically in terms of gold making and looking at investments. Investments is personally how I have made most of my gold so far in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, currently sitting on 1.5 million gold in value without ever doing a single GDKP, just to illustrate the power behind investments. This is also while also doing all of my investments while making them public, so anyone who has been following my investment series here on YouTube know exactly how I have been making my gold from phase to phase. Now during this video right here we'll be covering items you can buy right now, which I personally think has a very high likelihood of going up in price in phase 4 due to an increase in demand. I should also say for full clarity that this investments video, as well as all of my investment videos, are released as early access to anyone who has purchased my Wrath Gold Guide, which you can find a link to in the video description. This guide covers investments just like this one months in advance, the best gold farms and many secrets and strategies that I have used to make 1.5 million gold so far, plus you get access to a private gold making community with lots of other people that have made hundreds of thousands of gold so far. And you obviously also get early access to videos just like this one, like I already mentioned. The link to my gold guide is down below, and because we are so far into Wrath, you can get it for a significant discount by using the discount code SALE, or clicking the link that directly takes you to that discounted landing page. So let's talk about investments for phase 4. Now first of all, let's cover what to buy and why you should look into buying it. First of all, you have Eternal Shadows. This has the potential to skyrocket in price in phase 4, and the rest of Wrath of the Lich King mainly due to one significant factor, a huge increase in demand. So far the demand for these have been significantly low, pretty much non-existent, but in phase 4 they will have a constant demand thanks to Ice Blade arrows, which are coming out in phase 4. Another factor driving up the demand for these is the fact that many crafting recipes coming in phase 4 requires a significant amount of Eternal Shadows in order to craft. I will showcase some of the recipes worth noting that requires Eternal Shadows on the screen right now, so you know what I mean, and then you can make your own decisions on whether or not to buy these based on the stats of those crafted items. Now another thing to note here is that Eternal Shadows are incredibly cheap right now. They have been down to 1 gold each on my server in phase 3, so even if they go up to 2 gold each for me, that means that you are doubling your gold. This might actually be the safest and less risky item to make significant profits with in terms of phase 4 investments. You also have Eternal Earth. This one is mostly because it's used in crafting the Shatter rounds, aka bullets for our Icecrown Citadel, and it's also an item of significant demand through Wrath that keeps going up in price gradually thanks to inflation, so based on a slight increase in demand plus that inflation element, this should be a pretty good investment, although it might not give you crazy returns like some other items actually could. The next investment is Epic Gems once the prices go down far enough. This investment is based on people acquiring new gear when a new raid opens up, and new gear also means people are going to need new gems. We have seen this happen pretty much every phase of Classic WoW, both in Vanilla, TBC and Wrath, where items like this go down once the content gets stale, and then skyrockets when a new raid comes out, and it's usually just because people don't bother stocking up on things like this beforehand. So instead of buying a Cardinal Ruby for 200 gold in a month from now, and then keep it in their bags for several months waiting for phase 4, they are just going to buy that Cardinal Ruby when they get the item from Icecrown Citadel that they need, even if that Cardinal Ruby now costs 400 gold. As long as you can time the markets right here, you can easily double your gold by buying Cardinal Rubies and King's Amber when they're cheap, and then sell them during week 1, week 2 and week 3 of phase 4. Now if I had to guess when the right time to buy these epic gems would be, I would say probably in about a month or 2. You also have titanium ores once the prices go down far enough, and this one is pretty much based off the same principle as the epic gems, due to titanium ores price going up and down corresponding to the movement of epic gem prices, since people prospect titanium ores for epic gems. That being said, titanium ores could also go up in price due to the demand of titanium bars, which are also tied to crafting titan steel bars, which we will talk more about in a minute. You also have materials used in high tier enchants once the prices go down far enough again. Pretty much the exact same principle as epic gems right here. People will obtain brand new gear and they will need new enchants for that new gear. This one has yielded far less profits for me than investing into gems, probably because people constantly disenchant the gear from dungeons and raids, but it's worth mentioning either way. Now next up, I also want to touch base on an item you could possibly invest into, but I would probably advise you against, so it's kind of a don't buy this right now item on this list. Titan Steel bars, due to the removal of the cooldown. The cooldown from crafting Titan Steel bars was actually removed in patch 3.3.3 in Wrath of the Lich King. It is worth noting that this was not the Icecrown Citadel patch, as that was 3.3.0, and we are currently running on 3.3.5 with many minor bug fixes and such already in place, so based on patch numbers, this cooldown should have already been removed, and looking at how it was back in the day, the cooldown from Titan Steel crafting should be removed in a mini patch between phase 4 and phase 5, as 3.3.3 was an interim patch between Icecrown Citadel and Ruby Sanctum. Now I thought this was worth mentioning because I personally don't think this mini patch will happen for WOTLK Classic, as beyond the removal of the cooldown, the patch mostly focused on fixing bugs and glitches, so I think if Blizzard will remove the cooldown for crafty Titan Steel, it will be in phase 4 or phase 5. Now it could definitely be worth keeping an eye on this cooldown and see if it's still there on an eventual public test realm, because if this cooldown stays, I could see Titan Steel bars go down in price over the course of phase 3, then bounce up in phase 4, like they did when phase 3 came out, and in that case you could expect prices to go up anywhere between 50% and 100%. But if the cooldown is removed, the profit margins will be pretty much non-existent, so there is definitely a risk versus reward element to be considered here, so once again just keep the removal in mind and pay attention to the public test realm when it's up. Routing this video back to crafted items, we saw certain tailoring crafted items go up in price significantly in phase 3 due to crafted items or crafted cooldowns, namely Spell Weave, but also to some extent Ebon Weave and Moonshroud. These items are on the same list as Titan Steel bars, where they are very expensive due to there being a cooldown attached to crafting them, and in this case that cooldown is a massive 3-day cooldown. This cooldown is also removed in that same 3.3.3 patch, so once again keep an eye out for the PTR and see if the cooldown is still there or if it's removed. Now if it's removed, do not invest into it, but if it is not removed, then especially Spellweave tends to go up in price a lot, as it is connected to crafting the best in stock crafted items for DPS casters. On the other hand, if the cooldown is removed, you might want to look into investing into Eternal Fires, since they are used in crafting Spell Weaves, and without a cooldown attached to crafting it, I believe the demand for Eternal Fires could actually skyrocket. Now that one is very speculative though, so make your own decisions. Routing this video all the way back to what you should actually look into buying, you have Flame Caps, which are still used within raiding, even after being nerfed, and has gone up in price significantly, and saw another spike in price for phase 3, and I can honestly see these doubling in price in phase 4. You also have Nerubian Kitten, or Chitin, I don't really know how to say that one still, used within many leatherworking recipes in phase 4. You have Jormungandr Scales, also used within many leatherworking recipes in phase 4, and you have Icy Dragon Scales, also used for leatherworking. Now both Nerubian Kitten, Chitin, Jormungandr Scales and Icy Dragon Scales are currently extremely cheap on many servers and have insane upside potential. You also have Arctic Fur, another item used for many leatherworking recipes once again. Now this one is different by it being more rare than the other materials, and will therefore be more difficult to actually farm. So there it is, that's my phase 4 investments video. Hopefully it helps you make some gold for phase 4, and if you have any further investments advice, feel free to share them in the comments down below. Once again, you can check out my WOTLK Classic Gold Guide for access to even more investments and early access to future gold making videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.